Hi, and welcome back to Early Retirement Roadmap, the show where I help you prepare for and thrive in early retirement. Have you ever noticed how some retirees just seem to glow? They're not just getting by, they're laughing more, they don't panic every time the stock market sneezes, and they seem lighter. Today, I want to unpack why that is, because the difference between a stressed retiree and a thriving retiree usually isn't luck, it's habits. And I'm speaking from some experience here too, and have seen these habits play out in my own life because I'm going on my first year of early retirement. I retired last December at the age of 55, and I can't believe how fast the year has gone, and it's been wonderful, and I highly recommend it. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through my 9 habits that help you future-proof your retirement so you can handle market crashes, policy changes, and all the random stuff life just throws at you, without constantly wondering, is this all going to fall apart? All right, let's get to it. The first habit to have a thriving retirement is to spend intentionally, not fearfully. Now, a lot of people think the key to a secure retirement is just spending as little as humanly possible. Cut everything, don't travel, don't enjoy anything, just hoard. But the people I see thriving long-term, including myself, we're not doing that. We spend on purpose. We have a pretty good sense of what our essential expenses are, things like housing, food, insurance, utilities. And we know what's fun or discretionary, the travel, the hobbies, the dinners out. And myself and other retirees like me, we have a simple set of guardrails around our spending and withdrawals. So instead of saying I must stick to exactly 3.27% withdrawal every year, it's more like if markets are up, we give ourselves a small raise. And if markets are down, we'll tighten the belt a bit. Now that's flexible and smart and in no way chaotic. This kind of intentional spending protects you 2 ways. It reduces the odds that you'll overspend during the good times, and just as important, it stops you from underspending out of fear and wasting your healthiest years. If you've never actually written down your essential versus nice to have spending, that's your first little assignment from this episode. Now that goes hand in hand with the second habit I see, protecting your sleep at night money. Thriving retirees almost always have some version of a sleep at night bucket. For some people, that's 2 to 4 years of basic expenses in a high-yield savings account or other very safe investments like bonds, Treasury inflation-protected securities or TIPS, CDs, money market accounts, etc. This is the money that lets you see a scary market headline and say, okay, that's not fun, but we're going to be fine. I have this set up for myself. It gives me great peace of mind as I really don't worry about headlines. Right now, for example, I've been hearing the market is due for a major correction, the AI bubble is about to burst, and so forth, but wasn't this also the prediction last year? The fact is no one really knows, and honestly, I don't worry about it because I've protected myself if the market tanks, and I'll have enough through the market recovery so I don't sell stocks to fund my retirement if and when this happens. Without some level of sleep at night money, every piece of news about the stock market feels like a personal emergency. And would you really want to have a retirement where this would be a constant worry for you? Of course not. With this cushion, you can give your investments time to recover instead of panic selling at the worst moment. So if you want to future-proof your retirement, a great question to ask is, how many years of expenses would let me relax when markets are ugly? And then have a plan to set aside those funds for your retirement so you have that peace of mind. Of course, money is a huge part of this, but it's not the only piece. The third habit of thriving retirees is that they treat their health as a core investment, not an afterthought. We all know health matters, but thriving retirees actually live like it matters. We move our bodies most days. That could be walking, stretching, light strength training, nothing extreme, just consistent. We pay attention to sleep. We don't just shrug off feeling exhausted all the time. The great thing about retirement is I have to tell you it's much easier to sleep well because that job stress is gone from your life, which honestly was the biggest cause of insomnia for me, and you get to sleep as long as you need, no alarm clock going off. Us thriving retirees also take prevention seriously. Regular checkups, do those screenings, do your 6-month dental visits, and your yearly vision exam. By no means is the goal here to become a fitness model. It's just to stay functional and independent as long as possible as you age. Better health usually means lower medical costs over time, but beyond the money, it gives you options. You can travel, you can chase your grandchildren around, you can say yes to more of the stuff you actually want to do. And honestly, good health gives you more confidence about your future. It's hard to feel secure about a 30-year or more retirement if climbing the stairs already feels impossible. So if you're thinking, where do I even start? Just pick one health habit to improve this year. Maybe a daily walk, maybe strength training twice a week, maybe taking sleep more seriously. You don't need a 47-step plan, just one step. Now, even if your money and health are in good shape, there's another big trap: retiring from something with no idea what you're retiring to. That brings us to the fourth habit. Thriving retirees retire to something, not just from something. I get comments all the time from people who say, financially, I'm ready, but I'm afraid I'll lose my sense of purpose. I felt that too when I retired, and it does take some time to adjust, and it certainly did for me. But how I got over this fear, and the retirees like me that are thriving almost always have something meaningful they're moving toward. That might be a project or hobby they care about. It might be volunteering. It might be part-time or consulting work they actually enjoy. Or creative outlets, writing, music, YouTube, woodworking, gardening, whatever lights them up. For me, it's gardening. I've become a gardening maniac and practicing and playing the piano a lot more than I could before. And of course, my videos and podcasts that are my fun hobbies and a way for me to share what I've learned about preparing for early retirement and living it. When we plan for retirement, we mostly think about money. But if every day after retirement is just you trying to fill time, it gets old pretty fast. And you're going to get super bored and wish you hadn't retired, and certainly feel that loss of purpose. So to future-proof your retirement emotionally, start asking, if my paycheck wasn't part of the equation, what would I be excited to get out of bed for? And then ask, what small version of that could I start before I retire? The thriving retirees didn't figure this out after their last day at work. It's smart to already be experimenting with these things before that and finding out what you truly enjoy, so you'll be excited to retire so you can spend more time doing those things. Once you're on that path, the fifth habit makes a big difference. Keep learning and adapting. The world doesn't freeze just because you retire. Tax laws change, healthcare rules change, technology changes. Thriving retirees don't throw their hands up and say, it's all too complicated, I don't want to know. Instead, they take a simple approach. They say, I'm always going to learn just enough to make the next smart decision. That might look like listening to podcasts like this one. It might mean meeting with a fee-only planner every few years. Maybe reading one personal finance or retirement book a year, or just asking questions instead of pretending everything's fine. You don't need to become a financial expert, but if you completely outsource your understanding of your own retirement, you're always going to feel a little fragile. Future-proofing means saying, I might not know everything, but I know enough to smell when something's off. While we're on the topic of balance, there's another kind of diversification that thriving retirees are very good at, and it has nothing to do with stocks and bonds. The sixth habit is that they diversify their life, not just their portfolio. We talk a lot about diversifying investments, but thriving retirees also diversify their sources of meaning. If your entire identity is your job, or your role as a parent, or a single hobby, then losing that one thing by choice or by circumstance can be really painful. Future-proof retirees tend to have more than one thing going. They have a mix of solo and social activities. Some things they do at home, some outside the house. Different groups of people they see, friends, family, people from a class, a group, or a community they're part of. If one area changes, someone moves away, health limits, a certain hobby, you still have other pillars holding you up. It can be helpful to take a quick inventory and ask, if one big part of my life disappeared tomorrow, what would still be left that I genuinely enjoy? If the honest answer is not much, that's not a reason to panic. It's simply a signal that it might be time to gently start planting some new seeds. Now let's come back to the money side for a second, because there's a very practical habit that shows up over and over. Habit number 7, thriving retirees keep a simple, understandable, and lazy money system like they talked about in my last episode titled, I Retired at 55, My Lazy Retirement Investment Plan. Thriving retirees are not trying to win some complexity contest. Usually it's pretty straightforward. Accounts are organized. Bills are mostly automated. They know which account they pull from for their regular spending. And they have a basic plan for taxes, especially around things like Roth conversions, required minimum distributions, and healthcare subsidies if they're not on Medicare yet. The key test is this: they can explain their setup to their spouse or a trusted person in plain English. If your system is so complex that even you can barely follow it, that's not future-proof, that's fragile. Life will throw you curveballs: illness, caregiving, moving, or just brain fog during a stressful season. Simple systems are resilient. So a good question to ask yourself is, could I explain on one sheet of paper how our money works in retirement? And if something happened to me, could my spouse or someone I trust follow this? If the answer is not really, you don't need to blow everything up. Just start looking for ways to simplify. That leads into habit number 8, which is taking risks seriously, including the unsexy stuff. Thriving retirees don't just think about investment risks, they think about life risk. That includes having appropriate insurance: health, home, auto, and umbrella policy. It includes keeping key documents in order: wills, healthcare directives, powers of attorney, and making sure your beneficiaries are actually up to date. And it includes basic cyber and fraud protection: using strong passwords, turning on two-factor authentication, being cautious with links and emails. None of this is exciting. It's not fun cocktail party conversation. But future-proofing isn't just about chasing the highest return. It's about making sure one bad event doesn't derail everything. You don't have to tackle all of this in a week. You might just say, this month I'm going to review our beneficiaries. Next month I'll look at getting umbrella coverage. The month after, I'll finally create or update our will. Bit by bit, you build a retirement that's just hard to knock over. The last habit ties all of this together. Thriving retirees regularly check in, but they don't obsess. They keep an eye on things, but they're not refreshing their accounts 12 times a day. Often they do a quarterly check-in on spending and their portfolio just to see how things are trending. Then once a year, they do a bigger picture review and rebalance if needed. The balance being aimed for is simple: engaged but not obsessed, curious but not panicked. Lastly, future-proofing doesn't mean eliminating all uncertainty. That's impossible, and no one has a crystal ball. It means having a rhythm where you regularly ask, are we still on track? Has anything big changed? Is there a small adjustment we could make this year? That's how people navigate long retirements without burning themselves out mentally. So let's quickly recap the 9 habits we just walked through. First, spend intentionally, not fearfully. Second, they protect their sleep at night money. Third, they treat their health as a core investment. Fourth, they retire to something, not just from something. Fifth, they keep learning and adapting. Sixth, they diversify their life, not just their portfolio. Seventh, they keep a simple, understandable money system. Eighth, they take risk management seriously, including the boring details. And ninth, they do regular check-ins without obsessing. You don't have to be perfect at all of these, no one is, but adopting these will dramatically change how retirement feels. Instead of constantly worrying about what could go wrong, you start to feel, whatever happens, I have tools for it. I have habits that will help me adjust. That to me is what means to future-proof your retirement. If you found this helpful, I'd love for you to do a couple quick things. First, pick one habit in this list that you're going to focus on. Second, if you haven't already, follow this podcast. We talk about the money side, investing, taxes, healthcare, but also this part, how to actually live well once you get there. And just a quick reminder, nothing in this episode is personalized financial advice. Everyone's situation is different, so always consider talking with a qualified professional before making big decisions. Thanks so much for listening. If this helped, depending on your platform you're on, like, follow, and leave a review. Also, before we go, I'd like to mention a couple of freebies to share. First, if you plan to be on an ACA health plan next year and need to estimate your modified adjusted gross income, I've got a free magic calculator you can download to help with that. There's a link in the description or show notes, and listen to my recent episode titled ACA Magi: How to Calculate and Manage It for Big Savings. And in addition to the free Manji calculator I just mentioned, I've got another freebie called 12 Must-Do Steps to Retire Sooner and Smarter. It's a checklist that offers the quick, practical guide to retiring early. You'll find a link to it in the description or show notes as well. And when you're not on the go, catch the Early Retirement Roadmap YouTube channel. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. This is Mike Upland, early retiree last year at the age of 55, helping you to plan and thrive in early retirement. Take care and make the most of today.